Hi, it's Andrew with Flair, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to brew with the Flair 58 and the 58X. Before you can start brewing with your Flair 58 or 58X, you need to assemble the press stand. Unlike the original Flair design, fasteners are required to secure the post to the base for this procedure. We recommend you use a table or a counter to support the post so you can focus on aligning the holes in the base with the threads in the post. Failure to have these aligned properly can lead to lever pulling to one side or the other. The first screw should be threaded in most of the way, but left loose until the second screw has been threaded in and snugged up. Then return to the first screw and tighten it up, and back to the second to do the same. Ensure that both screws appear to be at the same depth, and check that the lever is centered. And actually, this is perfect because I've done something wrong. You can see that right now, the lever is pulling a little bit to the right. It's tight, it's not moving, but because I didn't have this lined up properly at that last moment, it's pulling to the side. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip it back over, and I'm going to loosen just a little bit, both of these, and confirm that it's nice and straight, and then I'm going to give it another tightening there. Looks like I had a little bit more movement on that one. It was pulling it. So now it's nice and level and there's no play. Before we get started, it's important to point out that as of October of 2021, the 58 and the 58X will no longer use a fixed dispersion screen inside the brewing chamber. All units will ship with the Flair 58 puck screen instead. Additionally, the plunger has been modified to allow it to work as a valve, enabling you to fill the chamber while the stem is installed. You can keep the piston assembly linked to the lever all the time. The benefits, as you'll see in a moment, are a more streamlined workflow and fewer parts to handle during the brewing process. Now, if your unit was produced before the design change, it will arrive with a fixed dispersion screen. And we recommend that you check out one of these guides first, and then come back to this one to see what's changed. If you find the enhanced workflow compelling, there will be kits available for sale around November that will allow you to incorporate it into your own brewing routine. The 58 and 58X ship with everything you need to prep and pull a shot. There's a portafilter and filter basket, puck screen, tamper, drip tray, a preheat cap. The 58 model comes with a removable brewing cylinder funnel, and the 58X has it integrated. As their name suggests, the 58 and the 58X use industry standard 58mm filter baskets. Thanks to standards, you have the ability to swap in different baskets that suit your palate. The stock basket works well with doses ranging from 16 grams on up to 22. If you want to use less or more coffee, or just experiment with different geometries, rest assured, so long as the stated size is 58mm, the basket you find offered elsewhere will be compatible with your brewer. Likewise, any leveler or tamper advertised for 58mm baskets should also be compatible. Two items that can improve your workflow and shots are funnels and shot mirrors. Both of these are available for purchase at flairespresso.com. Funnels help keep your coffee bar clean while transferring coffee from your grinder to the portafilter and make coffee distribution significantly easier. Mirrors allow you to observe how the extraction is commencing without craning your neck down during the shot. Watching the flow of the coffee exiting the filter basket can tell you a lot about the evenness of the extraction taking place. During pre-infusion, you'll know the exact moment you fully saturated the entire puck of coffee when you observe all the perforations on your basket filling in. The Flair 58 and the 58X function exactly the same when it comes to brewing the shot. The difference is in how you bring the brewing components up to temperature. This is known as the preheat. Whereas on the 58, you have an electric preheat, with the 58X, you'll need to use the steam from your kettle. If you have the 58 but find yourself without power, you can use this method as well. If you start with the 58X and later decide you want to add in the convenience of an electric preheat, you can upgrade to the electronics on the 58. Do note, however, that in addition to the controller and the power supply, a new brewing cylinder with the heating element already installed is required. For this reason, choosing convenience later on will cost you roughly twice the difference saved in the beginning. Now I'm going to run through how to preheat both models, starting with the 58X. Set your kettle to boil. to ensure steam generation, remove the cap and place your brew cylinder on top. The cap will protect the finish of the kettle and also keep it from slipping off. Additionally, it acts as a seal to focus the steam into the cylinder, preventing condensation from forming on the outside and liquid streaming down the side of your kettle. It's a good practice to preheat the stem along with the cylinder, but when placing it on top, leave a small gap so that the steam has an exit. With the 58, it's as easy as pushing a button. First though, install the brew cylinder onto the base, with the lobes lined with the opening in the base and the pigtail off to the right. Then rotate counterclockwise until you hear it click. If you're brewing with the 58, there's no need to remove the brewing cylinder, even for cleaning. So you can use the included Allen key to tighten up that set screw to prevent any movement of the cylinder. If you're brewing with the 58X, you'll want to leave it as is to take advantage of the quick release system. At this point, you can plug the temperature controller into the power supply. There are 3 heat settings: low, medium, and high. To start off, if you prefer a dark roast, choose low. Medium roast, choose medium. And a light roast, choose high. To turn on the heat controller and to set it to low, give the button a single long press. Give it one short press to bump up to medium and one more to high. You can continue to cycle through the temperature with short presses. And to turn off, one more long press. Since we're going to be brewing with a medium roast today, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on and set it to medium. Attach your portafilter with the puck screen inside to warm them up while you weigh and grind your beans. Start with the handle at 6 o'clock and make sure that it's nice and level, not tilted or slanted forward or back, and then rotate it over to 4 o'clock. It just needs to be snug, you don't need to crank it in. If you have the 58X, a couple other options to preheat would be to use the steam coming from your kettle or the hot water that's being boiled in there. Once you run that hot water or the steam through, you want to make sure that you dry out the basket before you put the coffee in. Any kind of moisture in there is going to create caking. Go ahead and lock this back in, and then we'll put our stem and gauge back in so that we can preheat this along with the rest. If you're upgrading to the 58 from one of our other models, you should expect to grind quite a bit finer than you currently are for the same amount of pressure. We're going to be using 18 grams of coffee in to 36 out for a 2-to-1 brewing ratio. Whether you're grinding directly into the portafilter as we did, or you grind into a vessel and then transfer it out into your portafilter, you're going to end up with coffee that is unevenly distributed through. And you're going to want to make sure that you get that distributed evenly before you go to tamp. So you have a few different choices. You can do palm taps, you can do finger sweeps, but we prefer Weiss distribution technique. And what that involves is using thin wires to settle and move around the grounds until they level out nicely into your basket before you go for a tamp. So to do the Weiss distribution technique, you want to insert your wires deep into the basket and do little concentric circles like this, moving towards the center. When you feel like you have a good distribution going, you can do a little north to south, a little east to west, and then just check to make sure it looks level. At this point, I have a lot of coffee, as you can see, that needs to be settled down before I can go ahead and tamp. So I'm going to give a couple quick knocks to settle the bed below the surface so I can go ahead and tamp now. Place your tamper on and make sure it's nice and level. A couple different ways. You can grab it here, you can use your fingers. I like to push down evenly on 4 sides and just make sure I have a nice and level tamp. And I'm pressing into the table until I feel the table's pressing back on me, your counter, your surface. If that looks good, you can go ahead and put your puck screen on top. I'm going to lower my handle and lock in. Again, starting at 6, moving to 4 o'clock. Now, of course, if you were brewing with the 58X, before you can lock in the portafilter, you need to install your brew cylinder onto the base. But you do want to wait until the very last minute so that this is as hot as it can be coming off the kettle and being steamed before you lock in. Here is a point in the brewing process that strays from the original design of the plunger. With the new version, you can start with the lever down. Fill the chamber full to the rim, then pull up the lever to allow the water to drain through. Keep an eye on the water line and go as slow as necessary to prevent spillage. But this is where the funnel comes in play. This allows a little bit more leeway for the water to rise and fall without being able to spill over. You can see that it's integrated already into the 58X, and it's installed now on our 58, so we're ready to brew. The way that this speeds up the workflow is we no longer have to remove the stem to pour water into the chamber and then reinstall. We can go ahead and pour right in. When we first start to pour, we want to lift up a little bit on the lever just to make sure that we're getting some water down into that headspace, and just keep pouring all the way to the top until we get right to the rim. Stop there. I'm going to lift the lever. And once we're at the top, we're ready to go back down. I'm going to go ahead and press, slowly ramping in, getting a little bit of pre-infusion, and I'm watching the basket, looking for the holes to fill in with coffee, so I know that I've saturated the whole basket. And as I get ready to go under pressure, I'm going to get my other hand on there. And we're looking at about 36 out and about 25 seconds. We're just going to keeping the pressure right up there in the zone. And as we get into 36 grams, we're going to start to lower down just a little bit, tailing off. And that's about 25 seconds and 36 grams. Pull it back to the top. That cuts off the flow, allows me to swap out my beautiful espresso with a purge cup. And now, because I still have some water in the chamber that I haven't used because I cut the shot short, I'm going to go ahead and lower the lever back down again. This helps to make sure at the end I have a nice dry puck and I can go ahead and knock that out without a mess. You can hear a little bit of air coming out. That tells me I've pushed through all the water and I just have more or less a dry puck. So we'll pull that out. And usually when you flip it over, maybe a little bit of tap, you get the puck screen out. And then I'm going to go ahead and knock out a nice dry puck. And if I was going to pull another shot for somebody else, I'd probably keep this nice and hot and ready to go. I would just wipe this back out, make sure I don't have any moisture or any coffee grounds, grind another shot. Again, put it in, lock it in, pour in water up and back down. And that's the beauty of the new system. You can go ahead and keep the stem locked in and engaged. You don't have to remove it to fill in water. You'll just keep filling up the chamber, lifting the lever, and pulling more shots. When it comes to maintenance and cleaning, the 58 and the 58X are as easy as it can be. Thanks to the open, unfettered access to the brew chamber, you'll be able to rinse it out and wipe it out as needed when you start to see any kind of materials accumulating. So what you'd want to do, if it's the 58, just leave it on the stand. You don't need to remove the brew head. So unhook, and then go ahead and lift and wiggle until you can get the plunger to pop out. And once you do, again, you'll have that clear access. I can come in here and wipe with a rag if I see any coffee materials, but generally speaking, you won't see anything accumulating. Now that we're using a puck screen and not an actual fixed dispersion screen, there's nowhere for the coffee material to hang out. So really, if you see something, go ahead and wipe it out and you're good. So from time to time, if you notice that it's starting to get a little dark and black in this area here from the coffee residues and materials, you can also remove your O-rings. You just squeeze and then pull out like this. You can wipe back in here with a paper towel. Again, no soaps or detergents should be necessary. You should be able to get to all the areas and quickly wipe out what needs to be. If you'd like to use any products, make sure it's something that is designed for espresso machines like a Cafeza. But generally speaking, you can just wipe it out. You'll be good to go. Keep in mind, you've just removed the natural oils that you've accumulated over time, which is good for smooth action. So you're going to want to lubricate this back up before you use it. Otherwise, if you put it right back in dry, you'll notice the first few shots are going to be a little bit rough. So something like a Molyko, the 111, that is a food-safe grease that you can easily source, or just something in the cupboard, like a light oil, something like an olive oil or something extra virgin, something that you know won't impart much of a taste. Rub it on those O-rings and wipe it back off before you insert and start to use again. The other component you're going to want to clean is your puck screen. After every time you pull a shot, you'll want to rinse this out underneath the tap, but also 3 to 4 days, if you have a kitchen sink sprayer, give it a good push through and try to clear out any of the material that might be trapped in there. Also, if you do like, say, a darker roast, you're probably going to notice some oils forming on that. So use the same kind of products we talked about before, something that's engineered for espresso machines like a Cafeza, to soak this in for maybe 30 minutes, then take it out, give it a good high spray, make sure that you have cleaned out all that material and dry it out and you'll be good to go. That's brewing with the Flair 58 and the 58X. If you want to see what it's like to brew with one of our other models, click the corresponding thumbnail. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.